Welcome back, friends. I'm trying so hard not to judge myself there. That's okay. But really, welcome back. Let's resume our conversation on intimacy in devised theater spaces. This would be part 2. And the question for this moment is, when is the right time in the process of devising to introduce an intimacy person? And that's a really clunky way of saying, like, if you were to bring in an intimacy choreographer, when would you bring that intimacy choreographer in? If you have an intimacy-minded person as part of the ensemble, when is it appropriate for them to step out of the ensemble and focus on the intimacy? Or even, really, like, can an ensemble member step out of ensemble and be like, let's put on the intimacy hat now? My instinct is that that's not what should be happening. Just because even though one of the points of devising is to upend the power dynamic and kind of make a stew of it all, there's just a conflict of interests that happens, I think. So I do think that whoever the intimacy person is in a devising ensemble or collaborative, in a devising collaborative, that's how we're going to say it. I think that it should definitely be a person whose only function is to wear that intimacy hat. Or if not their only function, their primary function, or even if it is their secondary function. No, I think I'm going to say their primary function. But so yeah, I think I've just come to this. But it should definitely not just be an ensemble member. That doesn't mean that the power dynamic should be that the intimacy person gets final say in this, that, or the other thing. Like, it's not like that. It's just that I think if a person is also part of the ensemble, which is to say they are one of the performers, their conflict of interests. I already said it. I don't know why I'm repeating myself. Maybe because I'm having trouble moving forward. So it should definitely be somebody whose focus is intimacy. Might not be all of their focus, but it should be a significant portion of their focus. If you have a movement director or something else like that, that could be another hat they wear. I'm still kind of inclined to think that an intimacy person should primarily be an intimacy person, but I realize in spaces like this, sometimes people wear many hats. And that's kind of part of why things get so muddy in devising in the first place, because everybody's wearing so many hats. And that's also one of the reasons why it's hard to really say, like, when the best time to start is. Like, my gut says the earlier the better. But oftentimes with devising ensembles, people have been working together for a while and collaborating together for a while. They already have an established vocabulary to build from. No, not always. Sometimes a bunch of people are like, hey, let's make something. Okay, cool, let's make something. And then they just dive in and start making. But usually once you've made something once, you want to make something again. And you want to make more because making is fun. And it's fun, and it's also so important. We don't tell stories for no reason. So yeah, even though it took me until pretty late in the process to realize that everybody might have been better served had I been there a lot sooner, I wasn't their intimacy choreographer anyway, so who knows? Maybe my being there sooner wouldn't have done anybody any good. But I was part of the conversation, even though I wasn't a collaborator. And since my focus in terms of conversation was on building intimacy and nurturing intimate moments, maybe, I don't know. I think earlier is better. And that's, I know I'm repeating myself, but I think that's the best I've got. I don't think there's any one point where it's like, ooh, this has to be it. They have to be there from day one, because I don't think in devising spaces there's ever really a day one. There might be like a day on the calendar where you're like, okay, we've agreed there's going to be a project, and this is the first time we're meeting to discuss or start creating or thinking about this project collaboratively. But it's not a day one, like, okay, we're sitting down for a table read, like you get in traditional structures, which is why it's a little muddy and why it's a question. So sooner is better than later, but it's better to have than not have. And other than that, it's going to vary from ensemble to ensemble and project to project. And that's the best answer I've got. Until next time.